The basic carving tool for leather carving is the swivel knife, and it is not like any other knife or tool that you've used in any other type of craft, more than likely. They're pretty unique. Um, I've tried cheap ones, I've tried more expensive ones, I've seen them up to $150 or $200 to buy. Some of them are only about $15 to buy. The one that I like the best is about 30 right now. And it's this, I think Tandy sells it as the Ergo Comfort Swivel Knife or Ergo Handled Swivel Knife or something like that. And that's the one I've been using quite a bit. I like the rubber grip on it and how it is to grip. There's also a big selection of different blades that can be used in these. Again, I really like the old traditional steel 3/8 inch straight blades. This one is actually referred to as a hollow ground blade. I do not know if they're still for sale or not, but it basically has a fuller on each side. Um, so not the edge hollow ground, but the flat of the blade is hollow ground. And that helps it turn a little bit easier. There's also blades that have angled points. There's different materials. This is ceramic as opposed to steel. Um, you'll sometimes see the steel blades that are dark like this. All of them will usually have a rough ground surface on their cutting edge when you first get them. And you need to polish that off. The ceramics are usually better because they're very hard to polish off. And they're usually pretty smooth to start with. But you really want to take a strop and polish your blade until it is mirror bright on that edge. You don't want to see any scratches in it because the scratches are going to cause drag. Uh, Other selections of blades, there's even different angles for the angled blades. Some of them have less angle, some of them have a lot more acute angle to them for fine detail. And then you can get what's also called hair blades. And hair blades, I'm not sure if the camera is going to pick up very well, but it's got a whole bunch of little lines, like 5 or 6 little lines that it cuts all at once for doing feathers or, of course, hair in pictures. And those usually come in 2 different varieties. There's usually a coarse and a fine. And you can also get those that come in a pencil style handle like this. This is a hair blade tool. This pencil type tool might be useful for somebody that's doing just some decorative type cuts as well, just doing something small, to use one of the angled blades in this pencil type tool to just sort of draw in if you're just drawing a few lines in. The other specialty blade that I have, which again I don't know if anybody's making anymore, is a double line blade or a bead blade. And it's pretty much exactly what it kind of sounds like with double lines. It's got 2 cutting edges, and then there's a round groove between them. I don't have it in a knife right now, but I can show just a little bit what it does. Cutting 2 parallel lines. I tend to tilt the knife pretty far back when I'm cutting. Pretty far, long angle back. So a straight blade works really well for me. Somebody who holds the knife more vertical, the straight blade won't turn very well. So they'll prefer the angled blades if you're going to hold more vertical with the knife. And you can get tighter corners and pretty good details with the angled blade. But I like the control of the power better from leaning it back further. So I'm basically pulling the knife into the cut. So I prefer the straight blades myself. Now, as I mentioned, it's important to strop this tool so that it is bright and shiny, basically. And you just put it down to where the bevel is flat on it, and not really a lot of pressure, and pull back. And you can strop 4 or 5 times on each side, or you can switch sides each time you strop it. And I might be doing this too fast for the camera to catch, but I'll pull back, and then as I'm going forward, I roll the knife, and I pull back again. Have to remember to do it slower so other people can see it. But as I said, you want that blade to be mirror bright along its edge. And of course, like any knife, it does help if it's sharp. I've heard people claim that swivel knives don't need to be sharp. Well, I keep mine sharp enough to cut the leather with as a regular knife. Now, as far as the cuts with a swivel knife go, I always set up to where I can cut as close as I can to the direction that my arm naturally moves. So I hold it in my right hand, and I try to have my cuts go towards my right elbow. So your elbow's out to the side of your body. You don't cut easily straight towards yourself. You cut best pulling off to that side, and then you can see the side of the knife that you're working with. And you can keep track of your lines. And also, you'll get more power out of your cuts that way because you're using the larger muscles of your upper arm rather than trying to do everything with your hand and wrist, which is going to wear out really quickly. And you'll do cuts, just pretty much push the point of the tool in and pull it, and you just sort of steer it to it turns sort of like a boat's rudder. And as you turn the knife, the cut will turn, and it'll just follow the direction that the knife goes. It does take a lot of practice, though. And the practice cuts that you'll want to do straight cuts, obviously. You want to do cuts that start deep and taper out. You want to do cuts that start shallow and go deeper. So you can practice what it feels like to do those depths. You want to do curve cuts. Try doing half a circle one direction, and then go the other direction, and finish that circle. Try doing an S or a backwards S. And then again, take that cut and turn it into a figure eight. Cuts that curve and taper off. Cuts that curve the other direction and taper off. And all these things are stuff you should just regularly practice. And just grab a scrap of leather, like this is just something out of my scrap bin, and you can practice cuts on it. It's always difficult to set aside time to just practice something, just cutting up a piece of scrap. And I understand that that's not that interesting and something that a beginner really doesn't want to do because you want to get into one of your projects that you want to do. So you might wind up just starting a project and saying, okay, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to go for it. And it won't turn out as well, but it's still practice. So that's still a good thing to do. So you don't have to just sit down and practice if there's something that you really want to try to do, but it might help. So if you're cutting out a piece of leather and you cut out your piece that you're going to be working on, and one of those little scraps that goes off to the side, just do these cuts as a warm-up real quick. Don't have to do a whole big piece of it. You don't have to spend hours at it. Just try each of these type of cuts before you get into your project that is the piece you cut out that's going to be your finished piece. Take one of those scrap pieces off the side and try it out. Just as a warm-up. And you'll get better the more you do it. If you have any other questions about any of the leatherworking tools or techniques, go ahead and put something in the comments below. I might know something about it and be able to make another video. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful or entertaining, please consider hitting that like button. And maybe even subscribe to the channel. If you haven't decided yet, there's always watching another video from this channel, and any one of the above will help this channel grow. And thank you for watching.